everybody, it's Hannah and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to be doing a full face of products that I would repurchase if I lost my entire makeup collection. So basically this is going to be a full face of favorites, and I'm super excited to do this video because I feel like a couple of them in here I haven't talked about in a while, or it's just stuff that I haven't used. So I'm really excited to get some more use out of some of my favorite products that I've ever used, like of all time. So to start out, for my base for primer, this one I've actually I don't think I've shown on my channel before, maybe in one of my Shop My Stash videos where I mentioned it as a really good moisturizer, but this is actually the Good Molecules silicone-free priming moisturizer. So I really like this because it can double as a moisturizer and a primer. It's a really good sort of universal product, and it would be something that I would definitely repurchase. It's very affordable, and I feel like primer, you don't really need to go super expensive, so I think that this would be a good one to get a more affordable brand for. But I love this. I use it pretty much every single day, both morning and night, just depending on what's sort of going on for the day. But I really like this. I have newly started using Good Molecules products, and I'm definitely going to repurchase this. This was just a little small size of it. It was in 0.5 fluid ounces, and as you can see, I've used up pretty much the entire thing. It's like an airless pump, so it squeezes out like every last little bit of product. But I think once I can't get any more product out of it, I'm definitely going to repurchase because I really like this, both as a primer before my makeup and then again as a moisturizer for nighttime. While we're here, my lips are very dry, but one thing that I would actually splurge on would be the Laneige lip mask. So this one that I have is in scent apple lime, and then I also have the like original berry one, but I really like this one. I love the smell of apple, and this is so good. You can also find them normally at places like TJ Maxx, even though they're normally very expensive, like I think $24 or so. I think it's definitely worth it. I love to use it as like sort of makeup prep for my lip, but then I also use it every single night before bed. I have this one on my desk, and then I have the berry one that I use before bed on my nightstand. So I just think that it's a really good product, and it's definitely worth the price, and I definitely would splurge on it. So next one is also another sort of high-end type of product, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I have mine in the shade number 2 Fair, and I really like this because it's just a super good sort of overall base. Like, it works really well as a foundation, as a highlighter, as a primer. You can really use it for anything, and I'm not like a huge foundation person. I typically just like to use, you know, concealer all over my face, so I find that something like this is really good, and I definitely would splurge on this to use as like my main sort of base product. So using a little brush, I'm just going to buff this in, and it works really well to sort of even out my skin and just create a really nice sort of glowy base for the rest of my makeup. You know, it doesn't have crazy coverage or anything, but again, I like to use my concealer to build up coverage. I don't find that I like to use a super heavy sort of foundation these days. I think that this just looks really well on its own. And another honorable mention for this step in my makeup routine would be the Supergoop Glow Screen. This is very similar, I think, to the Charlotte Tilbury. It's not as like the Charlotte Tilbury has almost a tiny bit of coverage, whereas this one doesn't, but it has that sort of, you know, it smooths out your skin type of quality, but it also does have SPF 40 in it, so it's good as an SPF. As far as SPF goes, I don't have it with me, but I would probably repurchase this Milani SPF primer. This again can also replace the Good Molecules one, but I just really like the Good Molecules. I would even just add this in as like my moisturizer step in my routine. And then again, this Milani one as my SPF, because I think it's really good and it works well under makeup, and it's pretty affordable as well. So we have that all buffed out. Now for my concealer that I would repurchase, I would actually repurchase the Glossier Stretch Concealer. I have mine in the shade G11. I also have another one in the shade G10 for when I'm a little bit more tan, but this one works perfect for me right now. This is such a good lightweight concealer. It has really good coverage, but it doesn't look cakey on my skin. It works well when my skin is very dry, especially now in the, you know, sort of more fall and winter time. It just works out so well, and I love this. I've gone through an entire one of these before in the shade G10. Just such a good product. I love it. It's super dewy, so you do need to set it with powder, but for me, I just think it's worth it in the way that it makes my skin look. It just looks so beautiful. And you know, it doesn't have crazy coverage, but it does cover up areas where you have any sort of breakouts or hyperpigmentation. It does the job, and you can totally build it up. And I find that especially after I powder, I don't really care about that too much. So for me, this really lightweight sort of base just works out super well right now. And like, I have some little breakouts over here, so I'm just going to pat that on and dab it out with my finger. And if you pat it out with your finger rather than swiping with a brush, I find that you get a little bit better coverage, but you know, I think it just looks really nice on its own, and it gives my skin such a beautiful glow. You definitely don't have to set it if you don't want to, if you prefer this look, but for me, I don't really like to have creasing on my under eyes or just like the feeling of my skin being tacky, so personally I do set it. And if I am going to set it, I'm probably going to use my Maybelline Fit Me powder, this one here. I don't think you need to splurge on powder. This one is just as good. It's basically the same texture as the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I believe they do have a translucent shade of this, but I use the shade number 05 Fair. As you can see, I have used up almost this entire thing and I have repurchased it. It is so good. I absolutely love this powder, and this would be the one that I would repurchase. But before I do that, I'm going to use my cream bronzer, which it's not a necessary step, but as you guys know, I love this product, and it is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. I have made mine in the shade light medium, and as you can see, I love this thing. I think it looks so beautiful. I use this on bare skin. I use this, you know, when I'm doing a sort of more full face like today. It's just so good. It really looks smooth on the skin and it adds such beautiful dimension. I think it's an amazing product, and I would definitely recommend this and repurchase it if I did lose it. But just taking another little brush here, I am going to put this onto my cheekbones, a little bit under here, down my neck slightly, and then on my forehead as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that to all of those parts and make sure everything is blended out nicely. So you can see it's just so smooth on the skin, and it just looks really, again, very glowy. It doesn't add texture. It's just almost sort of like a wash of color on your skin, and it's almost kind of blurring the way that they made this. I think it looks so good. I don't know, I really love it. But I am looking a little bit shiny, so now I'm going to take my Maybelline Fit Me powder, again in the shade number 05 Fair, and I'm going to set my face. So what I'm going to do is just pick up some of this on here, and I'm just going to make sure my under eye is nice and smooth, and then I'm going to set this. Not baking, just doing it a little bit heavy and then just kind of swiping away the excess, just because I really like to make sure that my under eye is nice and set and that it won't crease. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just tap out any creasing and just set that pretty heavy. I'm going to take whatever's left over on my brush and tap this over like my forehead, around my nose, run it down the chin, just in the T-zone area with whatever's left over on here. And what I like to do is just take this sort of big kind of powder brush and just pick up a little bit, not a ton, and then I'll just kind of set my cheeks just to make sure that now once I do like my bronzer and blush and stuff like that, it's going to blend kind of seamlessly over the powder. And I think that this looks really good. Again, skin just looks so smooth. I love this combination of base products, and I really think it all stems from this Good Molecules Priming Moisturizer. It's just so rich. It's not greasy, but it's not super thick either. It's just like the perfect moisturizer. I really recommend that one. Now I think for other base products like, you know, bronzer, blush, and highlight, you really don't need to splurge. I did splurge on my highlight, which we'll get to, but as far as bronzer goes, I just really like the Butter Bronzer. This is just a little mini one. You can see a little spoiler for my Shop My Stash. I did end up hitting pan on this. It's so good. It's affordable. They added a couple more shade ranges to it. I don't know how deep they go now, but I know before it only used to be one color, and they did add more now, but I think the formula of this is really good. And again, it's a drugstore product, so it's not as expensive to replace, assuming that you're going to have to purchase all this makeup at one time. So I do think in areas like blush and bronzer, it's easy to find products in the drugstore that work really well. And then even for products like the, you know, Charlotte Tilbury one, I know e.l.f. has their Halo Glow. I personally haven't tried it myself, so I can't really speak on it and recommend it, but I do know that people say it is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury, so that one very well could work out on its own. But as far as powder bronzer goes, this one from Physicians Formula is really good. And then for blush, you guys probably know what I'm gonna say, but Milani Luminoso, I would repurchase this in a heartbeat. This is the like old original packaging. I'm finally making such good progress on it. I've almost flattened it out completely, which I've had this thing for literally years, but it's so good. It still performs amazingly. It's just such a pretty blush, and again, very affordable. They have these Milani blushes in quite a few different shades, but for me, I would repurchase the shade Luminoso. I think it just works really well on my skin tone. I love how glowy it is. I love how it makes my skin look. It's just so beautiful. I absolutely love this blush and would definitely repurchase this one in a heartbeat. Okay, and then for a highlight, I know I mentioned earlier that I would probably splurge on my highlighters, and that would be for MAC Soft and Gentle Mineralized Skin Finish. This is just so pretty. It is like an amazing product. I don't know, you guys. Every time I use it, I think it just looks stunning. It's so natural on the skin. It's the perfect shade for me. I think it just always makes my skin look so sort of smooth and beautiful. Like all these products that I have today have this almost sort of satiny, kind of glowy finish that just makes your skin look like butter. It's so good. And if I were to recommend one though that was a drugstore one, of course I'd recommend my Wet n Wild ones, which I'll pop up a picture here. The formula of these are just as good as any sort of high-end one. Very, very similar to the Becca highlighters. If you really liked those, these are pretty much a dupe to it, and I think Precious Petals is a dupe for Champagne Pop. So if you are missing Champagne Pop, or yours broke, or you lost it, and you're looking for something but you don't want to spend crazy amount of money on it for repurchasing it, I think now they're up to like almost $40 if you want to purchase them through Smashbox. Definitely pick up those from Wet n Wild. But for me personally, I would have to splurge and go for my MAC Soft and Gentle. It's just so good. And for brows, my favorite brow gel literally ever is this one from Merit. Instead of having to do like a brow pencil and a brow gel, like a clear brow gel or something, I would just pick a tinted brow gel. Because for me, I have pretty dark eyebrows. I tint them every now and then with like actual, eyebrow dye. So I don't really need to do much filling, but this one from Merit is so good. I love the formula of this. It's not like sticky or anything like that. It just adds really nice tint to my brows and holds them in place, and I think it's super pretty. So I would definitely recommend this one. I use the shade Brown from them. They have a couple of different shades, but it's just so good. If you guys want to check out anything from Merit, I do work with them, so I have a link with them down in the description box down below. So this was sent to me, but I use this pretty much every day. Mine is almost completely used up, so I am gonna have to repurchase it, but I think it just adds a nice sort of wash to my brows. So I really love this product, and again, I would definitely repurchase it. You don't really need to go super crazy with brow products, but for me, I would splurge on it. If you're looking for one that isn't as expensive as this one, I'd recommend this Essence one over here, the Make Me Brow Gel, I think it's called. It's really good. They have it in a couple different shades. I used to use that one religiously all the time before I purchased some more high-end makeup, and I of course want to get my use out of those. But yeah, that is my recommendation for brow products. Now for lip products, this is where things get a little bougie. A couple expensive lip products. I love playing around with new lip products. I think that they're so amazing. Of course, before I say anything, I recommend this right over here, this Tower 28 gloss in the shade Fearless. It is my absolute favorite gloss of all time. It is just so good. I love the color on me. The formula is amazing. They're just an overall really great product. I did use mine up, and I'm waiting to get through a couple of my other products. I did purchase something that's very similar, which sneak peek, you'll see in just a second, that's like a very similar shade, so I don't need to repurchase the Tower 28 one, but that one is my first and foremost, biggest recommendation ever. Now for lip products, first I'm actually going to wipe off any sort of like powder or foundation that's on my lips right now. So for lip liner, you guys probably know what I'm going to say. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Medium 2 Lip Liner. The color on this is just perfect. It's so pretty. It's exactly what I look for in a lip color. I love the formula. I've almost used mine up fully, and you guys better stay tuned for the end of November because my birthday is November 22nd, and for my birthday present, my boyfriend's taking me on a little shopping spree, and we are definitely hitting up Sephora, so I'm probably going to have to repurchase it that day. But if you guys are interested to watch that video, I do plan on vlogging that day, so I'm super excited about it. But yeah, stay tuned till the end of November for that video. Anyways, let me go ahead and apply this and show you how beautiful the color is. I'm going to put it around my lip line and then all over the center of my lips as well. Look how good this color is. For me, it's just like the most natural, beautiful color. I don't know, and it's really long wearing as well. Then to go over top of that is sort of like it's almost like a hybrid between like a lipstick and a tinted lip balm. If you guys watch my channel all the time, you know what I'm gonna say. Clinique Black Honey Almost Lipstick. It's so good. Obsessed with this one, and I would definitely repurchase. Just pairs really well with the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner, and again, I just love the color that it gives. This almost sort of like your lips but better, a little bit deeper kind of color. I think it's just so pretty. This is what the Clinique lipstick looks like with the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner. And then for a gloss slash lip oil, of course I would say the Tower 28 one, but right now I also have another favorite of mine, which is this one from House Labs. It's one of their PhD hybrid lip oils in the shade Hue. It's a very similar shade to the Tower 28 one, and I just think it's so pretty. It's a little bit thinner than the Tower 28 just because it's a lip oil, but it's still very hydrating and very glossy, very moisturizing. I think it's so good, and all these lip products just go together so nicely. Now we're gonna do a little bit of extra stuff on the eyes just because we kind of skipped that, but I'm gonna circle back around to some eye products. So for eyeshadow, I would definitely recommend the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam 2 palette. This is what I would repurchase in a heartbeat. It has such good colors. This one is my favorite here in the shade Dusty Rose. I always mix it with this brown and incense, so I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to tap into both of them, just sort of mix them together to get a sort of like purpley brownish shade and put that all over my eyes very lightly. just to add almost a sort of like little contour or depth to my eyes. You can see it just makes it a little bit more interesting than not wearing eyeshadow. Of course, you can always deepen it up with some of these other shades. Over here, you have an inner corner shade, these two sort of eyelid shades, these ones to deepen it up. You have a black if you wanted to do liner with it. It's just such a really good, versatile eyeshadow palette, and it's very small as well, so it's easy to carry around. Not as expensive as some other ones. I think it's less than $30 for really, really good quality eyeshadows that, to me, you don't even need anything else other than this, and this would definitely be the one that I would repurchase if I had to. And of course, if you didn't want to spend so much money on eyeshadow palettes, anything from ColourPop are going to be your best friend. They're really good. I have so many ColourPop eyeshadow palettes, but again, for me, if I had to buy only one eyeshadow palette, I would go ahead and splurge on this one. Then for eyeliner, my favorite eyeliner is this one from Fenty. It's their Fly Liner in the shade Big Truffle. It's like this really beautiful dark brown. Very similar to it though is this one from ColourPop, their liquid liner in the shade Grande. The Fenty one is almost just a little bit more fine at the tip, so I find that I enjoy this one a teeny bit more than ColourPop. Again, there's a huge price difference between them. The Fenty one isn't crazy expensive, but it's, you know, it's not $8 or $9 like what the ColourPop one is, but this one's so good. I just love to add a little wing with this. I find that it just makes my eyeshadow pop, even though it's very simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little mini wing. So I just have one little wing here, and I'm going to go ahead and match it on the other side. Right, and this is the final look. And then for me personally, setting spray is not necessary. If I had to recommend one, my favorite one is this one from IT Cosmetics. It's the Your Skin But Better. So I am going to spray on a little bit of this one. It's kind of expensive, but it's really long lasting, and it helps your makeup look really nice. Like I find if you have more dry skin, it sort of blends any powders together, but again, it also has that longevity of something like Urban Decay All Nighter, which I find isn't as sort of like hydrating. So this is really good, like mixture between a hydrating one and a long wearing one. Alright, and this is the final makeup look. I think it came out so pretty, and this is my everyday makeup. These are the products I would use every single day if I had to. If I couldn't tap into anything else in my collection, I would pick these ones. This is what I would be happy to be stuck with if I was. I think it looks so beautiful, and I hope that this was a helpful video. If you guys are working on starting out your makeup collection, if you're looking for some really, really good everyday like products that work and that just look nice, you don't want to have to mess around with them. They're just so good. This is the video, and these are the products. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching today's video. It was super fun. I feel like I haven't done my makeup on camera in a long time, but yeah, that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching, and make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And that is it. I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.